In this video today, we're going to do two things. We're going to talk about how to with the whiteboard that you get when you take the PMP exam at home, and perhaps that you might get depending upon the test center that you go to. And another thing we're going to do is we're going to show you some shortcuts you can use to actually draw the process table on the whiteboard relatively quickly. So we're going to talk about both of those things. And actually we're going to show you how to draw the process table. And we're actually going to time it so we can get a feel for what's what. Now, I've helped a lot of people pass the PMP exam over the years. And I got to admit, when they shifted to not allowing you to copy on 3 pieces of paper during the tutorial, anything you wanted to copy, that wasn't a lot of fun. Because now all of a sudden you had to take time out of your 4 hours to do it. Then when they shifted to testing from home and trying to, some test centers not giving you laminated sheets, and even if they do, it's a big old, like a big dry erase marker. You know, it's not always the easiest thing to write with a very fine-tuned, fine point type thing. So the bottom line is, you know, you could get bent out of shape about it, but, you know, don't sweat it, because the environment is the environment. So let it roll off your back and go, let's make the most of it. Let's figure it out. So first, don't freak out. You know, I had one of my students tell me over the weekend, she said, I'm concerned because I think like drawing a network diagram is going to take me 10 minutes. Now, we're going to have another video about how to draw the network diagram. But I said, well, you know, I've never used this application before. I've shown people the sample thing of where it's at, but in fairness, can't say I've logged on and tried it. Let's try it. And we averaged just a pinch over 72 seconds per question to answer 3 network diagram questions in a row. So if you know how to be efficient with the tool, it's workable. It's kind of like an old Microsoft Draw application, but there are some differences. So we're going to talk a little about that in this video. So you know, so hopefully the 2 or 3 videos we have on this will help you adjust and adapt. First, I'm going to say don't try to draw a masterpiece. You know, it's going to look more like an abstract concept as opposed to a book-ready graphic, if you will. Sloppy, dirty down, and ugly. You know, enough you can translate what's going on there. Now, when you use text boxes, and this is a huge thing, when you use text boxes, based on my experience with this, when you got it open and you're typing in there, you can type. But once you deselect it and go back to do something else, like drop a line in, at least I was not able to get the text box reopened. So like on a network diagram, if A is 2 days long, put A2, for example. But we'll talk more about that in the network diagram video. For non-network diagram questions, and that's one thing we're going to reference here, is the text boxes. Do not be afraid to use those text boxes. You know, you might have to get a little creative in shortcuts and abbreviations and things like that, and that's one thing I'm going to show you. But as you get your brain dump fine-tuned, you know, you'll have the shortcuts of what works for you, the way you process things. So that said, let's look here. Now, if you go to this hyperlink, then this is going to pull up a sample whiteboard for you. If for whatever reason the link changes at some point, I would suggest you Google Pearson VUE Whiteboard, and that, at least that's how I found it. Now, they potentially do give you laminated sheets if you take it at some test centers, is what we're hearing. But those laminated sheets, you know, basically what we're being told is the markers you get are basically like this, which that's pretty blunt. I mean, if you're trying to copy a lot of detail, good luck with that. Now, the process table, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. You can also do the network diagram, which will be in a separate video, and then earn value, communication channels, expected monetary value, and point of total assumption type things if they showed up. That's going to be addressed in a separate video, or those are where where we use earned value as an example. Now that said, so this is the Crosswind Quick Reference Guide, Side 1 and Side 2. Now, Side 1 has just a lot of little things on it that, you know, if you get questioned about an estimating tolerance or what a Pareto diagram does, or, you know, you got a problem and you're asked what will fix this and you're not quite sure which quality tool to use, this is just a lot of little things that could bite you when you least need it to. And, you know, and if you're not taking our class, you know, shoot us an email, info@crosswindpm.com. And we'll be happy to get you a PDF of this if we don't have one below in the comments already for you in the YouTube channel. Now on Side 2, this is what we're going to reference in this video. So in my classroom, when I do live classes, I can copy this entire thing in about 1 minute and 8 seconds. And you might be saying, well, I'm sure you can, Tony. You know, you're an expert at this. Well, yes, I've written 41 books on this. I've seen a lot of things work. I've seen a lot of things that don't work. But here's the deal. This graphic that you see on the screen right now, Side 2, this is your process matrix. So this is the order you do things in as far as orange from left to right, blue from left to right, pink from left to right. So I want you to copy it by row, not column. Column gets muddy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use the virtual whiteboard to recreate that whole table. Now, you're not going to be able to read my shorthand, but I can. You'll come up with your own shorthand, and as long as you can read it, that's fine. You know, if you do scheduling all day long, you might not need to copy the schedule row. But if you don't deal with money or you don't deal with risk that much, you might want to copy those rows. You know, so again, you'll customize as applicable. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, rules of engagement. I'm going to turn the timer on my smartphone, and we're going to see how long this takes. And yes, I suspect it's going to take a bit, but you know, some might say, "Oh, it'll take me 10 minutes." Well, we're going to see how long it takes. I truthfully don't know. Okay, so at this point, I am going to go to the whiteboard now. Okay, so I'm going to kind of think out loud as I type some of this stuff, and I'm not trying to teach you per se while I'm thinking out loud, but I want you to see the thought process my head is going through. And again, I'm going to be doing rows, and it's going to be shorthand. Okay, so I am going to take a text box, and I am going to take about here, and I'm going to type CH, PMP, EXE, MC, ICC, close. Oh, forgot one. KNOW. When you have multiple PMBOK guides in your head, sometimes you overlook something. Okay, scope is PSM. I love spell check. CR, SS, WBS, VSCS. Schedule is PSM, AD, AS, ADE, SD, SC. Cost is PCM. Gotta love that spell check. EST, budget, control cost. Quality is plan, manage, control. Why write quality 3 times if it's in everything? After quality, I have resources, plan resource management, requirements for resources. Then I acquire, ACQ. Gotta love that spell check. Then I develop. Then I manage. Then I control. Then next is communication. That's plan. Gotta love the spell check. Plan communication management, manage communication, monitor communication. Remember, manage, M in executing is manage, M in monitoring and controlling is monitor. Then I get an RMP, so that's plan risk management, ID, QL, QN, risk response plan. Gotta love spell check. implement, and monitor. Then I get into plan, conduct, control procurements. Then I get into identify, plan stakeholder engagement, manage, and monitor. 2 minutes, 12 seconds. Now, you can't necessarily look at that and know exactly what that is, but if you said, what's EST? I'd go, that's estimate cost. If you said, what's AD? I'd go define activities, and you might say, well, I thought it was define activities. Why do you have AD? I studied many years ago to begin with, and back then it was called activity definitions. So the various PMBOK guide layers in my brain, I still think AD from when I started doing shorthand. You know, M in executing is manage. M in monitoring and controlling is monitor. PSM is plan scope management. Well, it says PSI, but it auto-corrected it. PSM here would be plan schedule management, plan cost management, plan quality management, plan resource management, plan communication management. RMP is the risk management plan, which comes from doing plan risk management, plan procurement management, and then there's an initiating process here. So the first planning process is plan stakeholder engagement. So 2 minutes and 16 seconds. That's a good 2 minutes. And then basically you can keep that up there and you still have a lot of space to do your network diagram. In fact, what I'm going to do here, I don't know if it'll let me redraw. Yeah, we're just going to drag this over here, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to attempt to redraw the network diagram with this still on the screen, and then I'm going to attempt to do earn value with this still on the screen to show you how you can fit all this in. So anyway, that's what we've got there. You know, it's going to take a little work to get the shorthand and things like that down, but as you copy those names out longhand, you'll come up with the shorthand that works for you.